I never imagined that the man I loved, the one I trusted with my whole heart, could betray me in the very place I felt safest, my own room. But there he was, through the slightly open door, tangled in someone else's arms. My name is Mia. I'm 28 years old, a graphic designer trying to find balance in a world full of chaos. For months, I thought I had found that balance with Jake, my boyfriend, my confidant. We shared dreams, plans, late-night talks, and promises. Or so I believed. That evening, I came home early, hoping to surprise him with dinner and a little celebration for the promotion I had just received. As I climbed the stairs to our apartment, the sound of laughter stopped me cold. It was coming from my bedroom. I froze. Heart pounding, hands trembling, I peeked inside. Jake wasn't alone. The woman, unfamiliar but disturbingly comfortable, was draped over him like she belonged there. Their eyes met mine for a split second before panic flashed across Jake's face. But it was too late. The scene was burned into my mind, impossible to erase. I slammed the door and fled to the bathroom, clutching the sink as if it could hold me up. The words I wanted to scream: why? How? Who is she? Caught in a knot of shock and betrayal. That night, everything I believed about love and trust shattered. But the worst part was yet to come. I soon realized that this wasn't just a simple mistake. There were secrets behind Jake's betrayal, dark enough to threaten everything I held dear. I had to find out why. The morning after the nightmare, I woke up with a heavy weight pressing on my chest. Sleep had barely touched me, and my mind raced in endless circles. How could Jake do this? How long had it been going on? Was I just a fool who never saw the signs? I stared at my phone, hesitating to call him, to demand answers. But deep down, I knew that what I needed was more than just excuses. I needed the truth, raw, painful, and unfiltered. Determined, I decided to confront him, but not before trying to gather some answers on my own. I started by scrolling through his messages, looking for anything suspicious. The texts were polite, sometimes distant, but nothing outright revealing. Yet, the way he hid his phone from me suddenly made sense. Next, I reached out to people who knew him well. His colleagues, old friends, even that mysterious woman from my bedroom. The responses were vague, defensive, or worse, silent. I found myself walking through shadows of half-truths and whispers. When I finally sat across from Jake, his eyes held guilt but also something darker. Fear, perhaps, or regret. Why, Jake? Why would you do this to me? I asked, voice trembling but steady. He sighed deeply. Mia, it's not what you think. There are things about me, about my past, I never wanted you to know. I thought I was protecting you. His words only deepened the pit in my stomach. What secrets? I pressed. He hesitated, then revealed fragments of a hidden life. Debts, dangerous people, choices he made to keep me safe but that led him astray. I never meant to hurt you, he said. But sometimes, the past catches up. I realized then that the betrayal wasn't just about infidelity. It was a symptom of a much bigger problem, a tangled web of lies, danger, and deception. And I was trapped in the middle. The days after my conversation with Jake felt like walking through a fog I couldn't escape. Every word he said echoed in my mind. Debts, dangerous people, a past he tried to hide. But the pieces didn't fit together yet. I needed to know everything. Determined, I started digging into Jake's past. I contacted an old friend of his, someone he hadn't told me about, hoping for answers. The friend, hesitant at first, finally agreed to meet me at a quiet cafe. Over coffee, he revealed a side of Jake I had never seen. A man entangled with shady business deals, people who didn't forgive easily, and mistakes that had dangerous consequences. Jake had been running from this for years, but the past was catching up. The chill of that night's shadows lingered long after the noise outside my window faded. Sleep became a stranger as the weight of our situation settled on me like an anchor dragging me down. This wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. It was about survival. Jake's secrets were more than just whispers of a troubled past. They were chains binding us to people who didn't hesitate to use fear as a weapon. I realized that waiting and hoping things would get better wasn't an option. I had to take control, even if it meant stepping into the darkness myself. The next morning, I met with Mark, a close friend of mine who worked in cybersecurity and had a knack for uncovering digital trails. I needed every piece of information I could get, every thread that could lead us out of this mess. As we sat in his cluttered apartment, lit only by the glow of computer screens, I handed over Jake's phone and all the evidence I had gathered so far. Mark's fingers flew across the keyboard, tracing encrypted messages and hidden accounts. "This is deeper than I thought," he said quietly. "There are people watching you. They've covered their tracks well, but there's always a trace." The revelation hit me harder than I expected. Not only was I dealing with betrayal and lies, but also with enemies I couldn't see, lurking in the shadows, ready to strike. That evening, Jake and I sat together, the tension thick between us. Despite everything, I saw the fear in his eyes mirrored my own. "I want to fix this," I said firmly. "But we can't do it alone. We need to be smart, careful." He nodded, the weight of his mistakes finally catching up with him. "I'm sorry for dragging you into this," he whispered. "But if we're going to survive, we have to trust each other, no matter what." Days turned into nights filled with hushed phone calls, encrypted messages, and frantic plans. We changed routines, avoided familiar places, and stayed alert to every unexpected sound. The danger was real and closing in. One night, while Jake was out, I heard footsteps outside the door, slow, deliberate. My heart pounded in my chest as I grabbed the nearest object, a heavy bookend, and prepared to defend myself. The door handle twisted, and for a moment, time froze. It was just a neighbor returning home. But the fear didn't leave me. I realized then that the fight wasn't just against the past, it was against every shadow that sought to destroy us. And I was ready to fight back, no matter the cost. I learned about a debt that wasn't just financial but personal, a promise broken, a betrayal from years ago that now threatened to unravel everything. When I confronted Jake with this new information, his face fell. "I tried to protect you," he whispered. "But the people I owe this to, they don't care about love or promises." Fear settled deep in my bones. This wasn't just about a cheating boyfriend anymore. This was about survival. That night, as I lay awake, I heard a noise outside the window. Shadows moved in the dark, and I knew we were being watched. The betrayal had pulled me into a dangerous game, and the stakes were higher than I ever imagined. The tension that had gripped my life for weeks finally reached its breaking point. Every whispered threat, every shadow lurking just beyond sight, was now impossible to ignore. It was time to face the storm head-on. Jake and I had gathered what evidence we could, documents, messages, and witness accounts that could expose the dangerous people entwined in his past.